afternoon. Welcome to the celebration of life for the late Michelle Frances Watts. My name is Major Ed Chu. I'm the Salvation Army officer, pastor, and today is Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is in Vancouver, Canada. For those who are watching overseas, we welcome you. Today, we're here to celebrate the life of Mrs. Michelle Frances Watts. The death of someone we love is never easy. We're gathered here to share the memories of Michelle and to keep her memories alive in us and to find comfort and support through each other. Michelle Watts was born on May 29th, 1944. She passed away on January 2nd of 2025. Beloved wife of Jeff Watts, deceased sister of Kenneth Bowes and Claire Roberts, auntie, and of numerous nieces and nephews, and wonderful friends to many. Michelle was born in Brisbane, Australia, and before moving to Canada in her early adult life, after practicing as a physiotherapist across Canada, she eventually resided in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Michelle was known and loved for her independence, spirit, and her generous nature. Michelle is now at peace with her husband, Jeff Watts. May she rest in peace. I'd like to begin by reading a poem entitled Freedom. Give me the long, straight road before me, a clear, cold day with a nipping air, tall, bare trees to run on beside me, a heart that is light and free from from care. Then let me go. I care not whither my feet may lead, for my spirit shall be free as the brook that flows to the river, free as the river and that flows to the sea. At this moment, I'd like to share a few thoughts. The first one would be a letter from a very close friend, and she is actually here. And I just want to acknowledge her, Wendy. Wendy has given me something to read in regards to her very dear friend. Hi. Thank you, Wendy. My name is Wendy, and I've been asked by the family, Michelle's family, to talk a little bit about her time in Canada. I know that she lived in other parts of Canada, but she only knew Michelle, about her time in the lower mainland of British Columbia. I first met Michelle in the early 80s at the Center for Positive Living in Surrey, British Columbia. Michelle was a lifelong learner and always looked for ways to improve herself and to make a positive impact in the world. She was a private person, but she had a keen interest in other people. Chatting with everyone she met, waiters, cashiers, people on the street. We took some courses together, and when I learned that she had no family in British Columbia, I asked if she wanted to join my family for Christmas dinners. That was the first of many special occasions that we spent together. Michelle became a part of our extended family, and she attended almost all of our family gatherings for over 30 years. And after dinner, we usually play board games, and Michelle enjoyed playing games such as Trivial Pursuit, Pictionary, and Taboo. After decades of living in Canada, Michelle never lost her Australian accent, and we had some funny misunderstandings over her pronunciations of certain words. When her parents were in town, we were able to have them over for dinner on one occasion. Her father was hilarious when he played Pictionary with us, she said. He drew the most painstaking pictures, which took up more than the allotted time and were so tiny that nobody could figure out what they were. And he drew the same picture that no matter what the word he was given, he seemed to enjoy himself a lot. But Michelle said that after he left, he said that something to the effect of it's being a damn stupid game. Michelle was very hardworking and independent. She worked as a physiotherapist at Surrey Memorial Hospital until she retired, and she frequently picked up extra shift at the Royal Columbian Hospital. When she wasn't working, she was often traveling. She loved to travel, and she managed to see a great deal of the world until her health did not allow her to travel any longer. This was hard for her to accept, and I think that she hoped that she would get better and be able to travel again. But no matter how difficult things were for her, she never complained. Michelle was a very kind, thoughtful, and gracious person. I never heard her say a bad word about anyone. We got together for lunch every month or two, and we talked politics a lot. Even when she clearly did not like a particular politician, she was so respectful and called him Mr. Or maybe that was her way of saying she didn't like him. I'm not sure. She made friends wherever she went, and when she was living in a condo in White Rock, she got to know the women who lived next door to her. She was fleeing an abusive relationship and fighting for custody of her children. Michelle, she helped her. She helped her through this process by attending all the court's proceedings and supported her to help her understand the proceedings, as English was not her first language. Michelle was full of surprises. I first heard of Jeff when she invited me to their wedding. She was in her 50s by that time, and neither she nor Jeff had ever been married. Unfortunately, Jeff passed away not too many years later. Michelle then moved from their townhouse in Surrey to a condo in White Rock, where she surprised me again by getting a dog, as I had never known her to be a pet lover. But her little dog kept her good company for several years. And during that time, she lived in White Rock. She kept busy by going to the gym, and she was active in a couple senior centers. She was also a member of the Red Hat Society. When she developed heart problems, she started looking for another place to live and finally settled in Oceana Park, an independence living facility. She made new friends there and participated in many of their activities. She even joined the drama club and performed in a couple of plays. Once she stopped driving, she went everywhere by bus and SkyTrain. She knew her way around the Lower Mainland and did not hesitate to go into Vancouver for courses and cultural activities. She was also eager to learn new things. She took courses in French and in Spanish and attended many computer workshops. She also liked to attend wellness and senior fairs and lectures about health-related matters. Her adventurous spirit and her love of life and learning were a true inspiration. Sadly, Michelle's health seriously deteriorated in the last couple years, and she moved from an independent living facility to an assisted care facility. And only a few months later, after a lengthy hospital stay, she moved into a long-term care facility. Being such an independent and private person and devoting her working life to looking after other people, I think this must have been a very difficult transition. I miss my friend, and I think about her often, Michelle says. Goodbye, Michelle. I am grateful for all the good times we had together. Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you. And right now, we're just now going to watch a video of Michelle's nephew, Mark.
Hi, it's my honour to speak on behalf of my mum, Claire Roberts, who was Michelle's sister, and my brother and two sisters, Scott, Peter and Eleanor. When talking to Mum about Michelle, there were so many beautiful fond memories. Mum and Michelle and Kenneth grew up in Norman Park in Queensland, and obviously their parents owned a shop. So straight after school, Mum remembers going to the shop with Michelle, and they would often stay there until they fell asleep at night. They had great times at the shop and in Queensland, and they formed a very close relationship, and they were great friends throughout their childhood. Michelle did move on after secondary school and university, and she decided to move over to Canada, where she started her adventure and lived her whole life there. Even though there was quite a, obviously, long distance between Claire and Michelle, they managed to keep their friendship and their relationship very strong, and they would speak to each other quite often. Mum talked about one of the most pleasurable things that she had, particularly as they moved into retirement, was the amount of time they spent travelling together, and you'll see that in some photos coming up. They went on many adventures together, and they enjoyed each other's company as they travelled and saw different parts of the world through Antarctica, South America, parts of Asia and North America and Europe. They had a wonderful time, and that's something that Mum really cherished and absolutely loved, and really loved spending that time with Michelle. As I said, they managed to keep a very close relationship through their adult life and into retirement. And one of the pleasures that Mum had was we managed to visit Michelle in May of 2024 and spend some time with them. And it was amazing. I know that they were both getting a bit older and hadn't seen each other for a long time. But as soon as they got together, they were talking and enjoying each other's company and having some really, really good laughs. And having lots of yummy food. They do like their food. And we went out for lunch and dinner almost every night. And they had a great time catching up. And it was so wonderful to see Michelle then. And it was an opportunity for Mum to say goodbye because Michelle was in ill health. Mum just wanted to say that she loved Michelle with all her heart and was so grateful to have her as a sister. And it was such a pleasure to spend her life with her and to build such a beautiful relationship over so many years. And Mum will miss her greatly, but knows that she has led a full life and a wonderful life and experienced so many great things. And she's forever grateful for her relationship with Michelle. Just on behalf of Scott, Peter, Eleanor and myself, Michelle was a great auntie. She was always overseas in Canada, but she was always thinking about us, sending us games, sending us educational games and computer games and all those different things, because she really valued education. And from the the very beginning, she would really push that with us. And we used to really love the speak and spell games and different things that we would receive from Michelle. Quite often she would come down to Melbourne and we'd get to spend time with her, which was really lovely. And then also we would go up to Queensland and spend some time with her up there. So it was always lovely to see Michelle. She was always ready to do some physiotherapy on us and getting us coughing and things like that, which was pretty funny. But we loved spending the time with Michelle. She was always so generous and so loving and so kind to us. She would do anything for us, which we really were appreciative of, and we really loved building that relationship with Michelle. It was such a nice thing. Like I mentioned, we did spend some time with Michelle in May last year when Eleanor, Scott and myself and Mum went over. Peter was unavailable, unfortunately. And we did spend some lovely time with her, and we still had witty conversations with her. Remembered things from our childhood that we had a good laugh about, and she could have a good laugh about now too. So we had a lovely time with Michelle during that period. So we really cherished that time we had with her, and we were really happy that we got to see her there at that time. But just on behalf of everyone in the family, Michelle was a great auntie and a great sister, and we just appreciate her so much. And we know now that she'll be resting in peace with her late husband Jeff, and we're so grateful to be able to have such a wonderful relationship with Michelle, and we know that she's touched so many in what she's done, and we do thank her for everything she's done for our family, and we really appreciate it, and we do wish that she rests in peace. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you once again. Mark for doing that beautiful slide presentation. Wonderful, wonderful. You know, at times like these, we wonder sometimes, we wonder about our own life. In the book of Ecclesiastes, there's these words that was actually written in a song by a group called the Byrds in the 60s. I'd like to read it to you. It's in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3. It's a time to be born. It's a time for everything. A time to die and a time to plant. A time to collect the harvest. And a time to kill. A time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build up. A time to cry and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, but a time to dance. You see, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather, to pile them up. A time for a warm embrace and a time for keeping your distance. A time to search and a time to give up as lost. A time to keep and a time to throw out, a time to tear apart, and a time to bind together. A time to be quiet, and a time to speak up, and a time to love, and a time to hate. A time to go to war, and a time to make peace. What good comes to anyone who works so hard all to gain a few possessions? I mean, we look back on the past and ponder over the future, yet we cannot understand the doings. I know there is nothing better for us than to be joyful and to do good throughout our lives, to eat and to drink, and to see the good in all of our hard work. Time is a strange thing, isn't it? We live our whole life trying to make the best of the time that we have. There are days when we say that there isn't enough time in the day to do everything that needs to be done. Then there are days when we find that time just seems to drag on, and it seems like the day will never end. You know, the pandemic itself has made us stop our busy life and has challenged us to contemplate the value of time in life. You see, each one of us here has a certain amount of time on this earth. But what we do with that time will make all the difference in the quality of our life. We can spend it all on selfish pleasures. We can spend it all on developing our careers and pursuing wealth, or we can use it to make a difference in someone's life in this world. This afternoon, we have come together at this moment in time to celebrate once again the life of Michelle, a woman who made a difference in people's life and in this world. I had the privilege a few days ago in talking and meeting Michelle's nephew, Mark. Thank you again, Mark. Scott and niece, Elena. A wonderful woman she was. A wife, aunt, and a close friend. We are reflected at this moment of Michelle's time with us here on earth was 80 years. And yet, what is 80 years when we consider the passing of time and eternity? You know, the Bible tells us, again, there's a time for everything, a season for every activity under heaven, and a time to be born, a time to plant, and a time to build, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, and yes, a time to mourn. The question remains, what are you going to do with your time remaining? Have you ever contemplate this thought with me? Ponder on these thoughts. In 100 years, like in 2125, we will all be either cremated, buried with other relatives and friends. Strangers will live in our homes that we fought so hard to work for and to build, and they will own everything that we have had today. All our possessions will be unknown and unborn, including probably for vehicles and cars we have spent so much time in. Things that we have possessed will probably just be scrapped, preferably in the hands of unknown collectors. Our descendants will hardly know who we were, nor will they remember us. Now, how many of us know our grandfather's father or father's father? After we die, we will be remembered for a few more years. Then we would just be a portrait on someone's bookshelf, on the mantle of a fireplace. And a few years later, our history, photos, and deeds disappear in history's forgetfulness. We won't even be memories. We pause as if we pause one day to analyze, friends, these questions. Perhaps we would understand how ignorant and weak the dream to achieve it all was. If we could only think about this, surely our approaches, our thoughts would change, and we would be better people. We would be different people. Always having more, no time for what's really valuable in this life. I would change this to live and to enjoy the walks that I've never taken, these hugs that never gives, these kisses, for our children's or our friends and our loved ones, the jokes that we didn't have time for. Those would certainly be the most beautiful moments to remember. And after all, they would fill our lives with joy, happiness. And some of us wasted after day with greed, selfishness, and intolerance. Every minute of life, my friends, is priceless and will never be repeated. So we need to take time to enjoy and be grateful for what we have and to celebrate our existence, your existence. On behalf of the family, I would like to take this opportunity now to thank everyone. I'd like to thank especially thank Wendy for being here today, because she wasn't supposed to be here today, and she made an effort to come and to be with us at present. Thank you for everything, for all that have contributed, and for those watching, I want you to please keep your thoughts and prayers to the family, and thank you especially for all of you watching and being here at this moment. For the closing thoughts, I'd like to read you these thoughts. She walked through life with grace and care, a tapestry woven, rich and rare. Each thread a story, each moment a gem, a life well lived, a precious diadem. Her laughter lingered, soft and bright, her beacon of warmth, a guiding light, her hands once busy with tasks and deeds, now rest in peace, their work complete. Through countless seasons, she saw it all, the bloom of spring, the leaves of fall, a quiet strength, a steady flame, a legacy carved in love and named. Though time has called her gently soul, her memory lingers whole and whole. In every smile, in every tear, her spirit whispers, always near. Let us honor the path that she trod, the love that she gave, the joy that she brought. For though she's gone, her story stays, a cherished life in all our days. Thank you very much. Be kind to everyone and be safe.